Coming up in this episode of In Clear Focus.
That chunk of plastic has so many memories and emotions tied to it.
She's not just talking as her character, but all of womanhood.
It's everything that a lot of us think all the time, but we've never been able to concisely verbalize.
You're listening to In Clear Focus, fresh perspectives on marketing and advertising produced weekly by Bigeye, a strategy-led full-service creative agency growing brands for clients globally. My name is Olivia Scott, and I have the pleasure of being your host today. I attend the University of Central Florida, and I'm currently interning with Bigeye's strategy team. For this podcast, which coincides with Women's History Month, I'm excited to dive into the world of the Barbie movie, exploring its advertising, brand collaborations, and cultural significance. But before we dissect it all, let's rewind to Barbie's origins. In 1959, Ruth Handler revolutionized the toy industry with Barbie, a doll embodying adult proportions inspired by the German Bild Lily doll. Barbie quickly became a cultural icon, symbolizing aspiration and empowerment for generations of girls globally. Fast forward to today, when director Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie offers a contemporary lens on the doll's journey. We witness Barbie's transition from the simple confines of Barbieland to the complexities of reality. The film explores themes of femininity, empowerment, and the profound relationship between Barbie and her creator. Gerwig's movie also sheds light on the evolving landscape of advertising and brand collaborations. So, we're going to examine Barbie's cultural relevance and explore how the movie's portrayal continues to influence advertising narratives, challenging and reshaping perspectives of gender, aspiration, and empowerment in the modern world. Joining me today to talk about Barbie are three members of Bigeye's team. Sandra Marshall, the agency's Vice President of Partnerships.
Hi.
Art Director Rhett Withey.
Howdy.
And Social Media Manager Savannah Santiago.
Hey!
Welcome to In Clear Focus. Thinking about how the Barbie movie was promoted, were there any standout creative concepts or messaging themes in the advertising campaigns that you believe contributed to the movie's success at the box office? Let's start with you, Sandra.
I would say as a whole, the thing that was most stand out was just the number of collaborations that the brand did. I mean, well before we even saw, if I'm remembering correctly, well before we even saw a trailer, we were already seeing brand collabs happening with Barbie to kind of generate the excitement. So I think in my mind, creatively, that was a really interesting marketing strategy, was to start to build these relationships with brands to tap into that nostalgic nature of Barbie to a generation that grew up with Barbie before we were actually ever seeing the clips from the movie in trailers that were being released. I thought that was really cool.
Building off on Sandra's point, one of the things that I think they did really well about those brand collaborations is they didn't just approach what was going to be easy, like collabing with some like a company to make clothes for Barbie, or a company that is just clothing in general, maybe for young girls or women or whoever that may be. They went above and beyond. And what they did that was so strategic and so creative is they approached it in a way of, what do people use every day? How can we make that Barbie? What does her couch look like? What does her car look like? What ice cream is she eating? What candle is she burning? What perfume is she wearing? So that was a really, really great play on their marketing team's part, just thinking outside of the box in a super creative way.
I think beyond just the marketing collaborations, remember they had that website where you could upload your picture and you became the "I'm this Barbie" sticker. That was huge on social media, even to the point where it just became like a meme beyond the movie. That was massive pre-release.
Yeah. What's your take on the Barbie movie's brand collaborations, and how do you assess their partnership selection and execution?
So kind of building off of that previous point, I just think that the strategy behind these brand collaborations just goes above and beyond what you would think on a surface level. They really went into the emotional attachment or the emotional connection with some of these. And so, like I mentioned before, talking about a candle or perfume, what does that smell like? Bringing on these connections outside of just being visually something really cool or something that is from their childhood. They just took it another step with these. So that's just kind of my take on what they did really, really well.
Yeah, Savannah, I agree. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know there was a lot of, articles and PR coming out of like, is it too much? Are there too many Barbie collabs? But what I really enjoyed was what you were just talking about is they paired with brands that were unexpected. Like one of the ones that is sticking out is I think there was a collab with Airbnb, and it was like only really famous people were able to stay in this true Barbie dream house. But then I think it was like leading up to the premiere of the movie where it opened up to where everyday people could apply to stay at the Barbie dream house. I know Vans did sneakers for Barbie. Like you were saying, the in-home items was awesome. They were bringing Barbie into, I think they paired with Ruggable. So my take on it was definitely, especially from a marketer's perspective, it was really fascinating to watch the types of not just clothing or apparel, makeup, those items, but also lifestyle brands.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to counterpoint that a little bit with a lot of the brand collabs that Barbie did. I think were kind of expected, even with like Ruggable and stuff. They were cool, and like Airbnb, like yeah, that's cool. But like a lot of Barbie is that she can do anything, and that was the kind of the point of the movie. And you've got a lot of Barbie dolls that are like Barbie the astronaut, Barbie the this person, but they could have pushed it farther with Barbie collab with advanced discount auto parts. Or Barbie collab with traditionally super ultra male brands would have been pretty cool. Like Barbie spark plugs. I missed out on the Barbie spark plug. They could have had that.
Barbie spark plugs would have been pretty awesome, right? I agree.
I only want them if Barbie can do my oil change. That's it. Non-negotiable.
Barbie collab with Jiffy Lube. Like she's a grease monkey.
Well, we'll have to put that out for the next movie. The Barbie movie was released last year. Why do you think it continues to resonate with audiences and remains a topic of conversation?
I think award season has really brought it back into mainstream, specifically the quote-unquote snub.
Yeah, Margot Robbie did not get nominated for Best Actress. They were nominated like for 7 or 8 Academy Awards and then won one of them.
And how that played into a part of the storyline, I think reignited some of the themes and some of the, messages that were portrayed in the movie. It was kind of showing real world, real life examples of kind of what they talked about in the movie itself.
Yeah, that's a good take on it.
Sandra, I think that was a really great connection there between just a real life example of what they were talking about in the Barbie movie, especially in her speech, basically talking about that things are difficult for women, or it's hard to be a woman, and just going on talking about societal norms and discussions and empowerment around that. I think that was just a good example.
I think the award snub doesn't really hurt it too much, because watching the Academy Awards when it was on, people were most excited about Ryan Gosling performing the I'm Just Ken song. And that performance had more production value than any other performance during the Oscar. And then afterwards has been the most reshared part of the Oscars. So I don't feel like it hurts them at all that they didn't win any awards, because it's just been such a cultural, impactful movie that you only see like once every 10 years or so. Like I think the last time a movie had this much buzz, like people dressing up, going to it, making it an event to go seeing it multiple times, it was probably Avatar when it first came out. This is like a once every decade type cultural impactful movie.
Well put. In what kinds of ways do you think the marketing of the movie influenced broader cultural conversations or trends related to gender representation, diversity, or empowerment?
So I think a lot of these conversations were already being had, but the vast reach of the movie and its success really heightened these conversations and brought them into even a brighter light. So one thing it does well is speaks to young women everywhere, saying the sky is the limit, don't let society limit your dreams, kind of all of that. And I feel like Sandra, out of all of us, can probably speak to this more than any of us, with a young daughter who loves Barbie. And she's just such a stellar young girl. She's so fun.
Thank you, Savannah. She's pretty awesome.
She is.
Yeah, it's funny because I think a lot about, since the movie, I think a lot about what my daughter's perception of Barbie and the Barbie brand is in her little 6-year-old brain versus what mine was when I was a young girl. And when I was playing with Barbies, yes, Barbie could be a lot of different things, but I don't think that was talked about or really driven home in any surrounding Barbie advertising or any conversation at that point like it is now. So to Savannah's point, I think these conversations are happening, but I think the influence in Barbie pegging it and really calling it out, and really, I think America Ferrera's speech in that movie was a really key moment, really driving home the difficulty that women face in a lot of areas of society, but that now with the brand's message of you can be anything, and really trying to drive the message home of inclusivity and empowerment, and you really can do anything. I think that really has helped to broaden the conversation, make people more aware that perhaps weren't in the conversation before. I also think that coupled with what you see on the store shelves now with the actual Barbie product, that has changed immensely over the years when I'm shopping with my daughter now in the Barbie aisle. And so it was nice to see that the way that the movie was marketed and opening up some of those conversations even more, it's actually being seen on the store shelf as well with the variety of Barbie body types and skin colors and careers that they're being sold as.
Awesome. Yeah.
So from the male perspective, I have a little bit different view, obviously, on the film. Yes, it's a huge women empowerment, you can do anything type thing, but also it's eye-opening for guys watching the movie as well. I've definitely mansplained The Godfather to countless women, and I'm so sorry. And that realization of, okay, I'm kind of a jerk. But at the same time, Ken has his epiphany as well, that he has his own trials and tribulations on what society expects for him to be a, quote, man, right? What it is to be a man. And he has his own frustrations with that. And at the end of the movie, it's not a women power, we can do anything, topple the patriarchy, but an understanding between Ken and Barbie that they have their own frustrations and they have their own feelings towards almost the same thing, but on opposite planes. I think it was great for men to be able to resonate with that as well, that you don't have to be super macho Ken. You can be like your regular self, the Michael Cera Ken.
Yeah, you don't have to have your own Mojo Dojo Casa house.
Yeah, you don't have to just because everyone expects you to. But at the same time, if you do, understand that she might be frustrated by that. And that's okay, as long as you guys can talk it out and have an understanding about it.
Awesome. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this message.
Hello, I'm Kunle Campbell, the author behind E-Commerce Growth Strategy, a brand-driven approach to attract shoppers, build community, and retain customers. This book is a deep dive into creating a standout e-commerce brand, emphasizing the importance of a cohesive strategy that spans attracting shoppers, building community, and retaining customers. By blending actionable insights with practical examples, I aim to guide you through enhancing your online presence and fostering lasting customer loyalty. For listeners of In Clear Focus, I'm thrilled to offer you a special promotion. Save 25% on your purchase of E-Commerce Growth Strategy, whether in print or electronic format, by using the exclusive promo code BIGEYE25. That's BIGEYE 25. This offer extends to all products, including pre-orders, and also entitles you to Kogan Page's free ebook bundle with each purchase. Plus, enjoy complimentary shipping to the US and the UK when you order directly from Kogan Page. To seize this opportunity to transform your e-commerce brand, head over to koganpage.com. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to being a part of your e-commerce success story.
Welcome back. I'm Olivia Scott, and I'm discussing the impact of the Barbie movie with Sandra Marshall, Rhett Withey, and Savannah Santiago. How important is it for brands like Barbie to align their marketing efforts with values related to sustainability, inclusivity, and social responsibility? Let's start with you, Savannah.
I think Barbie had a pretty vast audience. It was hitting moms that used to play with a lot of these dolls growing up, and now it's in their children's hands. There are different generations that it's appealing to, but specifically talking to that younger generation, they're definitely more malleable with what they see is online, what they're hearing, what they're talking about with their friends, hear from their friends. So there's so much information online that they're taking in. Not only that, but I also think, and this is a great thing, that younger consumers are often more conscious of social and environmental issues, and they want to have this sense of belonging to something that's greater than them, bigger than them, just a movement of some type. So, this can be great when it's a powerful movement, but it also puts so much responsibility into the hands of a brand to be sure that they're being honest and transparent and authentic, and they're not leading young people down a path of lies or a path of maybe something that's not the greatest thing to stand up for. In this case, standing up for equality is great. So that is not the case for the Barbie movie. There was lots of great things to take away from it. But yes, just going in that it's super important for those marketing efforts to be aligned there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Savannah and everything she just noted. I think one thing that's so amazing is not only are, these generations, like especially Gen Z and millennial, they're becoming known so much for their social activism and their desire to really create positive change in the world. But one of the things I think is most compelling is they're not afraid to be vocal about it. And they're vocal about wanting to align with brands who share these efforts. And not only are they vocal about that, but they really hold these brands to the test of, are they genuine and are the brands genuine in their social responsibility? So yeah, I think it's incredibly important. And it's really, I just think, amazing that we're seeing this grow generation after generation.
Definitely.
It's so funny that the Barbie movie is not the first movie to ever touch on these subjects, but it's the first to resonate. Right? And the reason it resonates is because of the hunk of plastic that is the toy that Sandra and Savannah, you were saying, that reaches across generations. The one thing that every mom has in common with their daughter is that they played with a Barbie at some point. So they use that as the launching point to have these greater conversations. It's just really interesting.
Yeah. In what ways do you think the Barbie movie franchise appeals to both younger audiences and adults who have a nostalgic connection to the brand?
I think what Rhett just said, talking about, and I mean, it is essentially a chunk of plastic. I mean, he's not wrong, but that chunk of plastic has so many memories and emotions tied to it. So I think that entirely is why it appeals to both a younger audience and adults. And when I say younger audience, yes, it does appeal to children that maybe don't have the purchase decisions quite yet, but there's still that tie between those children and, young adults, and even some middle-aged and older adults who maybe played with Barbies with their own children. It stretches across so many generations.
Yeah, I think one of the things that those of us that are a bit older, but it's actually something that I can sit down and play. At the core, it's a children's toy, right? It's something that I can actually sit down but share it with my daughter. We're sharing memories with this. I'm passing down my Barbies and some of my Barbie furniture and Barbie clothes, and I'm playing with my daughter. I mean, there's age appropriate toys, but there's not a lot of toys, at least in my experience with my parenting, where I enjoy playing with the toy with my kid just as much as they enjoy playing with the toy and creating stories together. So it's talk about an emotional attachment. Yes, it's all the memories from when I was playing, but it's an opportunity to bond with my daughter. And, if I had a son, with my son, of creating stories together and just sharing those memories. I mean, legitimately playing together. It's really amazing.
That's so sweet. Rhett, do you want to add anything to that?
I noticed on the shelves, it was funny. When you're at Target, you know where the Barbie aisle is because it's the aisle that is all pink. And they've got all the Barbie stuff. But then, there's also Barbies from the Barbie movie. So there's two parallel brands. You've got regular Barbie, right? Just Barbie. And then there's Barbie, the movie Barbie. I don't know if that's necessary, but they did it and they're making crazy money on that. Double dipping on Barbie, on the actual doll itself.
Mm-hmm.
You get Barbie or the Barbie movie Barbie.
Well, they sure know how to market. Sandra, as a parent, what were your impressions of the themes and messages portrayed in the Barbie movie?
I mean, I feel like there were a lot of themes and messages throughout the movie. And watching it, obviously, as a woman, I resonate with many of those. And I liked seeing that they were being brought into mainstream media through the Barbie movie that was going to be super popular to get conversations going, contribute to conversations. But at this particular life stage, I think what really, really resonated with me and what really got me was the ending of the movie, where there's that really strong, I think it's the creator of Barbie herself, right? At the end, and she's talking with Margot Robbie, and she has a line, I think it's, "We mothers stand still so that our daughters can look back and see how far they've come." And that message was, I mean, talk about a powerhouse of emotions that kind of flooded through in the end, because, you know, we go through all these things as we're growing up and all these experiences and culture and society and how that impacts decisions we make and how we feel and all of the conversations that are in the movie. But it was the thought of, now I have a piece of my heart that lives outside my body, who is also a woman, who's going to go through all of these very same scenarios in a much different time in our culture and society. And I start to put that mom hat on, and it's like the best thing I can do is just try to guide her in the best directions possible. So I think for me personally, that might not be everybody's major impression, that mom moment, but that was a huge one, was thinking about what I had just seen throughout the movie and now thinking that through the lens of my daughter's eyes. It was pretty powerful.
Rhett, what are your thoughts as a father watching that movie?
So I know my experience in life is different than other people's experience in life, especially as a dude. But I wonder, like, what the balance is between what's the right age for the particular themes in Barbie. Sandra, I know your daughter is 6, 7-ish. I see it as, hey, here's a therapy session of, like, if your daughter's older, like, yes, we've all had these shared experiences, whether you're 20 years old or your mom is 60 years old, right? But if you're a 30-something mom sharing it with your 8, 9, 10-year-old daughter, is it more of a warning? Or is it this is what I had to go through, so you don't have to go through this?
Yeah. Do I think it's more of a warning based on the age of the child?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess that's to come for me when she's, when my daughter is a little bit older, and I have no idea what our frame of mind will be at that point. But yeah, it's going to come. But what can I do as a mom to, like, best set her up for success?
Right. Like, what did she take away from the movie? Like, what did she like about it? Was it just like, I like the bright colors and the car chase scene was fun? Did it resonate with her at her age with the same themes that you're seeing?
No, not at all. In fact, we actually were hesitant to sit her down and focus on watching the movie just because we had heard that there were some adult undertones, but we had no idea what to expect. She ended up popping in, but it was so far over her head. At this point, she didn't really understand the themes and the messaging. But I'll tell you what, she loved the "I'm Just Ken" dance number. So for her, it was the music and the dance numbers that really resonated. Will it be interesting to see her watch this and talk with her after she watches this when she's a preteen and a teenager? Absolutely. Then I think there'll be much different types of discussions. There'll be much different guidance or insights that maybe I'll be telling her directly rather than just keeping in the back of my mind as she's younger.
Yeah. How does America Ferrera's speech challenge traditional gender roles and expectations, both within the context of the Barbie movie and in broader societal discussions about empowerment and equality?
Going back to one thing I said earlier was the Barbie movie, and specifically her speech, is saying things that they have been talked about, but just not in quite as much of a light or on a stage like this. Really, her speech kind of said it all. I don't feel like I can say anything that would make her speech any better than it was. It really just hit the nail on the head. I wish I could tell you what she did for gender roles, but it really was just something she put into words that was really hard for a lot of people to say.
I 1000% agree how you just said that, Savannah.
It's so hard. You're like, how do I say what I didn't even know how to say? And she said it all.
It was so beautifully written and delivered on screen. I think it's everything that a lot of us think all the time, but we've never been able to concisely verbalize.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, even parts of it, I didn't even know I was thinking it. And then she said it. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, yeah, she's kind of right. She has a point there. And the writers did a really great job with that. And like you said, it was delivered with so much passion. And I know that she felt a lot of those words when she was speaking them too. You could just feel it and see it on the scene.
Well, I know a lot of the angle for a lot of men with this movie is the machismo, right? Of like the eye rolling of, oh my gosh, here we go again with whatever, right? And I feel sorry for those guys that doesn't connect with them, because I felt a lot of empathy in that scene. And if you can't emphasize with somebody in this moment, when she's not just talking as her character, but all of womanhood, then I feel sorry for the guys that can't understand that basic premise.
Well put. Sandra, Rhett, and Savannah, thank you very much for being guests on In Clear Focus.
Thanks for having us. It was great.
Thanks for having us.
Cool. Next week, we'll talk about Ninja Turtles.
Sounds good.
Okay, right. All right.
Let me in.
Thanks again to my guests this week from Bigeye, Sandra Marshall, the agency's Vice President of Partnerships, Art Director Rhett Withey, and Social Media Manager Savannah Santiago. You'll find a full transcript of our conversation and links to resources we discussed on the Bigeye website at bigeyeagency.com. Just select Insights from the menu. Thank you for listening to In Clear Focus, produced by Bigeye. I've been your host, Olivia Scott. Regular host Adrian Tennant will be back next week. Until then, goodbye.